Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Skirsh1, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about human civilizations in the Imperium, or outside of the Imperium, that the Imperium encountered. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day, and if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Olamic Quietude. The Olamic Quietude was a technologically advanced cybernetic human civilization that had been founded during the Dark Age of technology and had survived through the long years of the Age of Strife. Over 15,000 standard years, the Quietude had survived by merging themselves so completely with their advanced technology as a result of possible Xeno influence that there was little left of them that could be considered truly human. The Quietude lived in vast and deep techno-hive cities, protected by an artificially extended ice cap on their unnamed homeworld, an otherwise lifeless planet. The technological level of the Quietude was very high, at least equal to, if not more advanced than that of the Imperium of Man. The people of the Quietude could barely be considered human by the time they were encountered by the Imperium. Through ritualized surgery from an early age, they incorporated cybernetic enhancements into their bodies, even more complete than the tech adepts of the Adeptus Mechanicus. By the time the members of the Quietude reached maturity, the only remaining organic parts of their body were the brain, skull, eyes, and spinal column. These biological components were kept alive within a purple nutrient fluid pumped through their bodies like blood from the powerful humanoid robotic chassis. Citizens of the Quietude wore silver electronic hoods over their heads, and instead of faces, had holographic masks that displayed an image of a human face that could display different facial expressions, such as anger. Underneath this, visible when their body shorted out due to damage or death, was simply a fleshless skull, eyeballs staring from lidless sockets. Little is known about the Quietude's culture, but it is believed that they were very mechanical in both their modes of thought and operations. They were interconnected to each other and to their technology by a vast digital social network that allowed each member of the Quietude to very quickly assess threats and provide the best possible response to them. Despite having replaced most of their organic bodies with cybernetic forms, the Quietude considered themselves to be both the epitome of human development as well as the only rightful heirs to the human future. They found the defenders of the Imperium of Man to be pretenders to this mantle, despite their origins on the human birthworld of Terra. And when first contact with the Imperium was made, the people of the Quietude did not hesitate to initiate brutal hostilities to wipe out away a threat to what they saw as their own human ideal. In this way, the Quietude was a mirror image of the Imperium of Man. The Quietude's technology and deadly efficiency in their arts of war allowed them to survive through the turbulence of the Age of Strife. Apart from their space fleet, they possess three main types of highly advanced cybernetic warriors. The smallest and lightest were the Gracels, roughly equivalent in size to a normal human, but far more deadly due to their cybernetic enhancements. The Robusts were larger, at least the size of a space marine. Super Robusts, the elites of the Quietude's military force, were enormous, two-headed and four-armed cyborgs, twice the size of the Robust, armed with a variety of close combat weapons, including hooked tool war blades and huge kinetic hammers. The Super Robust could be driven into a close combat berserker frenzy by stimulants injected into their organic central nervous system by their robotic bodies. All of the different types of Olamic warriors had highly advanced sensory systems. The Olamic warriors carried advanced weaponry as well. Most had gravitic rifles that used the powerful gravitic pulse to propel an ultra-dense projectile at incredible speeds, which would easily smash through power armor. They also carried fusion-based heat beams, perhaps similar to melta-weapons, that made no noise except an explosion crack from whatever they hit. The Olamic super robust kinetic hammers were similar in effect to the Imperial Thunderhammer and could slay an armored Astarte in a single titanic blow. All Quietude warriors were armored by overlapping plates of woven steel and emitted gravitic force fields whose potency and maximum points of strength could be quickly adapted to maximize protection against different types of threats. The Olamic warriors' humanoid bodies were generally resistant to any damage that did not compromise their remaining biological components. The Quietude homeworld was protected by a heavily armed and well-protected orbital facility known as the Instrument that was perhaps the size of a small moon and embedded within a titanic gravitic dog. Their ice-shielded cities on the surface of the world were defended by towers bristling with powerful energy weapons that could destroy heavy tanks and massive numbers of infantry in a single blast, and by vast numbers of robust cyborgs. Near the end of the Great Crusade, sometime before the Council of Nicaea, the 40th Expeditionary Fleet encountered the Quietude. The Quietude attacked the 40th Fleet in two separate actions, attempting to drive it out of their space. In the second of these actions, the Quietude captured the crew of the Imperial warship. The Quietude then ignored the Imperial ultimatum to cease hostilities and return the crew, instead subjecting them to torture and vivisection to extract information. The Quietude claimed that the information extracted from these unlucky subjects proved that the Imperium were simply pretenders to the heritage of mankind, and that when the Age of Strife ended, the Olamic Quietude would return to the wider galaxy and take their rightful place as the true inheritors of the human race. Naturally, finding such a contradiction of the Imperial truth unacceptable, but evenly matched by the formidable force of the Quietude, the 40th Expedition grudgingly called for the aid of the Space Marine Legion in the form of the Space Wolves' 3rd Great Company to assist in the assault on the Quietude's homeworld. The Space Wolves began the attack by assaulting the orbital facility above the planet, and despite the Quietude's martial reputation and advanced technology, they easily overcame the formidable onboard defenses composed of all the robust cybernetic troops. The 40th Expeditionary Fleet then began an orbital bombardment of the planet below, which proved ineffective against the ice cap that the Quietude had extended over their hive cities. Imperial Army ground forces found the going much more difficult when they landed, despite being supported by the Titans and super heavy tanks, with the strange, lamp-like beam weapons mounted on the Quietude's defense towers, extracting a heavy toll from the Imperial forces. After sustaining heavy casualties, the Imperial Army forces were withdrawn on the request of the Space Wolves, much to the anger of the Imperial Army commanders involved in the assault. Instead of another frontal assault, the Space Wolves used the vast orbital facilities they have captured to unleash an orbital bombardment, forcing the space station out of orbit. It fell into the world's atmosphere and smashed into the Quietude cities with the power of tens of thousands of nuclear weapons, breaking through the ice shield and inflicting catastrophic damage. This unconventional assault was followed by a full-scale attack on the now burning cities from a combined Astartes and Imperial Army force that brutally eradicated the Quietude and purged all trace of their presence from the galaxy. It was later discovered that the space station, or instrument as the Quietude called it, that the Space Wolves had dropped on the planet, was instead of a weapon or military base, a vast archive that contained the last records of all Quietude culture and technology, causing it to be lost to mankind forever. And those were 40 facts on the Olamic Quietude. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you an insight as to what would go down during the Great Crusade whenever the Imperium would encounter an alien species or a human civilization that was just as powerful as the Imperium, both technologically and just by their militia or their army. As you could see, not so good. The Imperium would say, bend the knee, and if you didn't, you died. It's ironic that the Olamic Quietude was just the exact same as the Imperium. The big difference is that the Olamic Quietude never expanded past their sector. It could have been because of warp storms, but in reality, I think it was because they didn't have the Emperor and they didn't have the Astronomicon and a way to travel the galaxy. So this whole battle goes back to the just basic tenet that the army or the group, the organization with the better technology will always come out on top. We see it in history here, just in everyday life, and then we also will see it in the far future. the Emperor basically saved humanity, the Terran humanity, from being taken over by even other human civilizations like Mars, for instance. If the Olamic Quietude would have been closer to Terra, and a little more friendly towards the Emperor, who knows, maybe we would have had a completely different 40k universe, one with more robotic and more or less human aspects, because you have to remember that the Emperor did not like the fact that the Adeptus Mechanicus wanted to stay away or try to push themselves away from humanity and just like augment themselves, but he had to put up with it because he needed their technology to create their ships, or to create his ships for the Great Crusade and whatnot. So I have a feeling that the Olamic Quietude would have, the same thing would have happened to them if they would have been closer and if they would have been in a different spot and time. In an alternate universe, it would have been really interesting to see if the Olamic Quietude would have expanded past their borders and actually defeated Terra, defeated the Emperor. What kind of Imperium of Man would exist now? We probably wouldn't be playing, or we definitely wouldn't be playing with Space Marines, and we definitely wouldn't be playing with Imperial citizens that have warp powers. I think if the Olamic Quietude, in an alternate reality of course, if they would have been successful at conquering the Imperium, we would have had a more technologically advanced humanity rather than what we have now. It wouldn't be any less grim dark though, especially considering that the Olamic Quietude would destroy their biological bodies to the point of not even being human, but it would be a completely different game, and I think that they would play a lot more like probably Necrons, where you have mindless servants, and maybe even Tau, where it's a collective community because of their whole social network connecting all of them. Actually, the Olamic Quietude would be pretty much every single race right now except for the Eldar and their psychic abilities. Because it would be like the Tau, the Tyranids, the Necrons, even the Orcs, because just the aggression of these, what were they called? Brutes? Those giant warriors. It would be a really interesting alternate reality, and it would be cool if you guys would create some fanfic for that, if you guys want to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any suggestions or any comments, just comment down below. And if you guys like what we do, don't forget to jump on over to Patreon. A simple $1 a month helps us create more videos, and it gives you some extra stuff as well. Link down in the description to the wiki page for this awesome lore. You can find more lore on all the different empires that the the Great Crusade encountered. So check the link down in the description out. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. This is Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.